Have you ever felt a sharp pull in your knee when you stood up, or a dull ache in your hands that just wouldn't fade, and wondered, is this how aging is supposed to feel? I used to tell my patients that pain was simply part of getting older. But after 3 decades in medicine, I've learned that pain isn't punishment. It's a signal, a quiet alarm your body sends long before real damage begins. The truth is, most joint pain has less to do with age and more to do with silent inflammation, sluggish circulation, and the small daily habits we overlook. When that inflammation builds, it doesn't just steal your comfort, it steals your independence, your sleep, and your peace of mind. But here's the hopeful part. Your body is not broken, it's asking for help. And when you give it the right kind of support, natural, steady daily care, it knows exactly how to heal. Today I want to show you one simple drink that can calm inflammation from the inside out, restore circulation, and bring real relief. Because the path to stronger joints doesn't start at the pharmacy, it starts in your own kitchen. I've seen thousands of patients walk into my office rubbing their knees, clutching their hands, or wincing as they sit down. Almost every one of them tells me the same thing, "Doc, it's just age." But the truth, age doesn't cause pain, inflammation does. Think of inflammation like slow burning fire under the floorboards of your house. You don't always see the smoke, but it's there eating away at the structure until one day the floor gives out. Inside your body, that fire often starts quietly in the gut. It's the control room for your immune system and the gateway for every nutrient you absorb. When you're young, your gut lining is tight and resilient, like a brand new filter. But stress-processed foods and years of medications create tiny leaks, microscopic holes that let toxins slip through. The immune system sees those particles and panics, launching chemical attacks that ripple through your bloodstream. Those chemicals, called cytokines, don't stay in one place. They travel, they settle, and they love to camp out in your joints. That's when you start feeling that familiar morning stiffness or that grinding sound in your knees. Research from the National Institutes of Health shows that over 70% of adults over 60 have measurable markers of chronic inflammation, even if their scans look normal. The body whispers before it screams, and pain is simply its last line of communication. Here's what most people don't realize: once inflammation gets comfortable in the body, it doesn't just hurt your joints, it slows your circulation, dulls your energy, and even messes with your sleep. Your muscles don't recover as fast, your brain fogs up, and climbing stairs starts feeling like hiking a mountain. But the body isn't broken, it's just overwhelmed. That's why I always tell my patients the first step to relief isn't in your knees, it's in your kitchen. Because when you change what goes into your body, you change what happens inside it. And that brings me to something powerful I discovered years ago while working in Japan, a simple morning drink that helps calm that internal fire, without medication, without side effects, and without complicated routines. The story behind that drink is remarkable, and I've watched it turn skepticism into belief. One patient, an 82-year-old retired nurse, could barely sleep because of knee pain. Within 2 weeks of starting this daily ritual, she called it the first real rest in years. But the real secret isn't the story, it's the science. Because what's inside that cup does more than soothe, it switches off the inflammation signal itself. And in the next section, I'll break down how each ingredient works together to unlock your body's natural repair system, starting with the golden root that's been healing for centuries. When I first began studying inflammation, I expected the solution to come in a pill bottle. Instead, it came in a teacup. Years ago, during a medical exchange in Japan, I noticed that many older adults moved with surprising ease, walking uphill, gardening, even kneeling well into their 80s. Their secret wasn't hidden in expensive supplements or fancy treatments. It was something humble, golden, and aromatic turmeric. Turmeric contains curcumin, a natural compound, proven in dozens of clinical studies to reduce inflammation by blocking a molecule called NF-κB. You can think of NF-κB as the master switch that turns on inflammatory genes. When it's overactive, your joints swell and ache. When curcumin quiets it down, the body can finally start repairing instead of reacting. According to research from the University of Arizona, consistent curcumin intake lowered inflammatory markers by nearly 30% within 4 weeks, without the stomach irritation common in painkillers. But here's the catch: curcumin on its own is poorly absorbed. It's like having the right key, but the wrong lock. That's where a pinch of black pepper comes in. Black pepper contains piperine, which increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. It's a tiny ingredient with massive impact, proof that sometimes the smallest changes make the biggest difference. When I share this with patients, they often laugh. "You mean pepper the stuff next to the salt shaker?" Exactly. It's not about complexity, it's about chemistry. The right combination lets your body actually use what you give it. Still, one ingredient doesn't make a symphony. The next piece is something less known in the West, but deeply respected in Asian medicine: moringa. The leaves of this tree are packed with magnesium, calcium, and antioxidants that support cartilage and muscle recovery. A 2023 review from the Journal of Medicinal Food showed that moringa extract reduced oxidative stress and improved joint flexibility in older adults after 8 weeks. I like to call it nature's mineral multivitamin. Now, how these three work together is what makes this drink powerful. Turmeric calms the fire, black pepper opens the gateway, moringa rebuilds the foundation. Add warm water, not hot, not cold, and the warmth acts like an open door for your stomach lining, helping every molecule travel smoothly into the bloodstream. Too hot, and you shock the system. Too cold, and you slow it down. Warm water is that middle ground where healing chemistry meets comfort. When patients take their first sip, I tell them to imagine that golden cup as a message to their joints: I haven't given up on you. Within days, most describe subtle changes. The morning stiffness fades faster, their grip feels steadier, sleep becomes deeper. By the second week, the difference isn't subtle anymore. Yet the drink is only half the story, because if you truly want to quiet inflammation, you must also look at the environment that keeps it alive, the habits that either feed the fire or starve it. And that's exactly where we're heading next. Every formula, no matter how elegant, means nothing until it meets a real person in pain. I'll never forget one of my patients, a retired nurse in her early 80s, named Margaret. She'd spent decades caring for others, yet her own body had turned against her. Her knees swelled each night, her sleep broke every few hours, even holding a teacup felt heavy. When she first walked into my clinic, she smiled politely, but her eyes told the truth: exhaustion, frustration, resignation. I started her on the simple golden drink each morning: half a teaspoon of turmeric, a pinch of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of moringa powder, all stirred into a cup of warm water. That's it. No pills, no side effects, just consistency. After 2 weeks, Margaret returned and sat down quietly. "Doctor," she said, "my legs feel lighter. I actually slept through the night." That may not sound dramatic, but to her it was freedom. Within a month, she was walking to her garden again, watering her plants at sunrise the same time she used to prepare the drink. Her story isn't rare. Over the past decade, I've watched hundreds of seniors regain flexibility, confidence, even joy, simply by calming the storm of inflammation from the inside out. Because here's the secret: your joints aren't your enemy. They're the first part of your body to tell the truth. When the pain in your knees or hands flares up, it's like an early warning system flashing something's off. Ignoring that signal is like ignoring the low oil light in your car. It always leads to bigger problems later. But when you listen, when you respond with care instead of chemicals, the whole body begins to cooperate again. Now let's talk about what makes this cooperation last. You see, inflammation isn't just chemical, it's behavioural. What you eat, how you move, and even how you breathe can either fan the flames or put them out. I tell my patients, think of movement as your body's built-in anti-inflammatory medicine. You don't need an expensive gym or complicated routines. A simple 10-minute walk after meals helps the lymphatic system drain. Excess fluid clears metabolic waste and brings oxygen back to tired joints. Sleep is another cornerstone. When you sleep deeply, your body releases growth hormone, its natural repair signal. Without enough sleep, even the best drink in the world can't finish the job. I recommend winding down an hour before bed. No screens, warm feet, maybe a soft scent of lavender. These are tiny cues that tell your nervous system it's safe to heal now. And finally, there's stress, the silent fuel of inflammation. Chronic stress raises cortisol, which tightens muscles and constricts blood flow. You don't need to meditate on a mountaintop. Just 5 slow breaths before you eat, or a few minutes sitting in sunlight, can make a measurable difference. All these habits work like background music for the drink you take each morning. They keep your body in rhythm with healing, because healing isn't about what you do, once it's about what you repeat. And in the final section, I'll show you how to make that repetition effortless, how to turn this morning ritual into a lasting act of self-trust and strength. Over the years, I've learned that healing doesn't begin with what's in your cup, it begins with what's in your mind. The most powerful medicine isn't turmeric or moringa or any herb, it's belief. Not blind optimism, but the quiet conviction that your body can still respond, still adapt, still fight for you. I've seen that belief ignite change faster than any supplement ever could. When you start this routine, something subtle happens. You begin to reclaim a sense of control. The first few days, maybe nothing feels different. But around the 7th or 8th morning, you notice your hands don't feel as stiff, your steps don't feel as heavy. That's not placebo. That's your body remembering how to communicate again. When inflammation eases, circulation improves, and oxygen floods tissues that had been starving for it. The fire cools and clarity returns not just to the joints, but to the mind. Science backs this too. Studies from Harvard and the Mayo Clinic show that even modest improvements in circulation can increase joint mobility and reduce stiffness by up to 40% in older adults. Combine that with anti-inflammatory nutrition, and you're setting the stage for true reversal, not masking pain, but retraining the body to heal naturally. I often tell my patients consistency is your true prescription. You wouldn't skip a dose of medication and expect results. The same rule applies here. The body thrives on rhythm, sleep, sunlight, movement, nourishment. This drink simply becomes part of that rhythm. The more regular you are, the more your cells start to anticipate healing instead of defending. Some mornings you might feel too tired. Other days you'll wonder if it's worth it. That's when I remind people to measure progress differently. Don't just count pain-free days, count the small wins. The night you finally slept through without waking. The morning your hands didn't swell. The walk you took without stopping halfway. Those aren't coincidences, they're proof. There's also a deeper layer here, trust. For many older adults, pain chips away at trust in their own bodies. They start to see themselves as fragile, but your body isn't fragile, it's responsive. It's waiting for your partnership. When you treat it with care instead of criticism, it answers. The drink is symbolic of that partnership, a daily I'm listening between you and the cells that have been waiting to be heard. One of my favourite moments is when patients come back months later, not just stronger but prouder. They'll say, "Doctor, I didn't think I could change this late in life, but I did." And I always tell them the same thing. You didn't just change your joints, you changed your story. Because this is what real healing is, not a miracle, not a mystery, but a relationship rebuilt one morning at a time. And that brings us to the final thought. I want to leave you with the promise that even after 60, 70 or 80, your body can still begin again. So let's bring this full circle. Joint pain isn't a life sentence, it's your body asking for attention. When you feed it, the right things move it with intention and give it rest. It remembers how to heal. That's what this golden morning drink represents. Not a quick fix, but a quiet daily promise to take your health back one sip at a time. If you start tomorrow, half a teaspoon of turmeric, a pinch of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of moringa, and a cup of warm water, you'll be sending your body a clear message: I'm ready to help you heal. Do it every day and you'll begin to notice strength returning where stiffness once lived. And remember, you're not doing this alone. Every person who watches this channel is part of a community, learning how to age with power, wisdom and grace. If today's video inspired you, please like it, share it and subscribe for more evidence-based ways to stay strong and independent. Tap the notification bell so you never miss a new episode, and let me know in the comments. What's one small habit you'll start tomorrow to care for your body, because healing starts with a single choice and that choice can begin today.